Hey guys, it's Megan and welcome back here to the Wolterman Homestead. Today I wanted to come to you guys and talk about homeschool. So in some of the other videos I've just mentioned that we homeschool, but I've never really gone into detail, and that was something that I was wanting to do today. Is just kind of cover what our family uses curriculum wise and what we absolutely love. So last year we used the curriculum of Becca, and everybody has their own opinion, but it just didn't work well for our family. And it's not a curriculum that I would recommend. And I have a dear friend who used My Father's World with 3 of her girls, and they absolutely thrived with it, and she loved it and just spoke highly of it. And so in looking into it, I decided that's what we were going to use this year, and so far we absolutely love it. It's a wonderful Christian-based curriculum. Ellie is thriving with it and enjoying every single day that we do homeschool. So, absolutely love it. But I wanted to go over some of the things that came in the curriculum that we purchased. If My Father's World is something, that you might be interested in. But you can feel free to drop comments or anything down below if you have any questions. So first off, I want to start off with, if you're thinking about being a homeschool parent, there's an organization, HSLDA. I will leave it somewhere over here and then leave some information down below. They break down every single state here in the United States and the laws and regulations when it comes to homeschooling in your state. Every state is different for the most part. Each state has different regulations as for, the curriculum you use, how many days. Some curriculums require hours. Indiana doesn't do that. And you have to keep track of how long you do homeschool every single day. So that's something that I would recommend, is getting a membership. That way, if somebody ever comes after you for whatever reason and says, oh, well, they do homeschool, you need to check in on them. HSLDA has a program of lawyers that will just be there the minute you call and help represent you and give you the information that you need to go forward, just if something ever happens like that. So, throwing that one out there. Now, for the curriculum. Absolutely love this curriculum. When the curriculum we used last year, Becca, was Christian-based, but I had to add a lot. Where this one, Ellie got her own little Bible. Ellie is in 1st grade this year, and then Easton's in preschool. So I thought that was really, really neat. And so with her little Bible, she's got little images and then scripture of whatever it is. So she can color it and then read it as the school goes along, and she gets better with reading bigger words. And then with that came a notebook. So it's got space for pictures and writing, whatever she wants to write, that goes along with her little Bible here. So it's kind of like a Bible journal that an adult would have, but geared for kids. So absolutely love that. This is one of the imagery walls that we have devoted for homeschool. One of the things I absolutely love about My Father's World, it is very scripture based. So the first week of school, the kids learned about scrolls and biblical scrolls and how they worked. There's another scroll that Ellie made that's on the front door that I can show you later. But the scrolls they made the first week of school are Genesis 1:1. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And they each had little popsicle sticks and a piece of paper. And so they created their own scroll to then go along with the scroll of the timeline of the Bible. So the first little piece that we have on this scroll is in Hebrew. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And then it's Bereshit, which is Genesis 1:1. And then you have your 2000, 1000, BC, AD, and then it goes on. So as the school year goes on, the kids will be filling the timeline up with little Bible stories. So we've got Adam and Eve, Moses, the 10 Commandments, all the stories in the Old Testament, and then it goes on to some of the stories in the New Testament up until kind of current today. So then you have the new heaven and new earth will be at the end of the timeline. So that is one of the things that I just absolutely love, is the scripture that gets built into this curriculum. So you have a good foundation for that. She's got her own math workbook. This says for grades 1 and 2, which it's a lot. I'm not sure that it will, you know, she'd get it all done this year. It's probably a lot for next year as well. But it's just a really good math book. She really loves it. She thinks it's fun. So there's the math portion of it. And then with the math, you get a clock, and then you get these little cubes. So these cubes are really great because they pull apart really easily and they snap back together. So you can count with them, you can, you know, create patterns and try to get your child to recreate the patterns. Easton honestly loves playing with these. He loves creating patterns. He thinks it's just a lot of fun. So that came along with the math and the clock as well. And then we also got this big tub of pattern shaped blocks. So you've got yellow pieces, orange pieces, they're all different shapes. And so with this came this little workbook. And so you have different patterns that your child will build and create. So like monkeys and things like that. There's a lion, just different fun shapes that they create with these blocks. Easton loves playing with these, but Ellie enjoys it too, but he's much more like engineering, building things. So that was another really neat thing that it came with. And then you have Eric Carl's Animals. So once a week it usually will pull something out of here, and it's typically like poems or something of his. So this one's all about ducks, and then the student will draw whatever they learned from it. So usually the kids will draw their own version of what is read about that day, and Easton really thinks it's fun to sit and color. But Ellie enjoys learning about the different little animals in that workbook as well. Honestly, my favorite little book out of this whole curriculum is this book right here. And like, I would see if you could get this like apart from My Father's World and just have it. It's a great book for kids. It's the big book of 5-minute devotionals celebrating God's world. So every single day, for the most part, you read a little devotional out of here, and you learn about different animals. So a couple weeks ago, might have even been last week, we read about the whooping cranes, and I had never heard about the whooping cranes, but they dance, and they in the middle of their migration. Thought it was really neat, so we pulled up some videos on YouTube, and we ended up creating a whole little unit on these birds. And it's really interesting. If you've never looked them up, check them out. They were on the endangered species list, and they have been repopulating the species. It was really neat. Just from this little devotional, we learned something really cool. Typically, with My Father's World, Friday is called Exploration Day. And so in this curriculum, they want you to get out and explore on Fridays. Usually you do a little bit of math and read something out of one of the 3 science books. This one's all things outdoors. This one is science with water, and then you have science with plants. So usually you'll read a page or 2 out of one of these books on Friday and do a science activity. There are a lot of My Father's World groups. I actually got in touch. One of my friends reached out because she knew we did this curriculum, and we found a group that get together on Fridays and they go explore in nature. So that's another really cool thing, is, you know, creating those friendships with other homeschool families and getting out and exploring on certain days of the week, certain days of the month, and just letting your kid go out in nature and explore things that like they don't necessarily do in public school because they're sitting behind a desk. But getting their hands dirty, making bug homes, and we went a couple weeks ago and the kids made leaf boats, and there was a waterfall, and they were seeing whose boat got to the waterfall the fastest and went up and over the edge. So just a really fun thing to do for Fridays. Another book that they have is Tales from Cherry Lane. Now, we have not yet used this book yet, but it is just a little book that comes along with the curriculum. Now for the important part, the teaching part. What do you do? So you get your teacher's manual, and every single week, this is last week's, which was week 8, you have your your schedule, basically. So you have your verse at the top of the week, which I have a whiteboard and I write it out on a whiteboard, and then it just sits in the living room all week to be read throughout the day whenever we see it. You have the things for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so forth. And then you have the different topics, and then it breaks it down throughout the week. So you have all the things on Monday, and then like she did a copying sheet. So she had her own worksheet that was in one of the folders, and she copied the verse for the week to try and help with memorizing. And then this also kind of goes along with your student worksheets. So you have loose student worksheets, which I keep in this bin here, and I'll show you here in a little bit. So I just organize everything in this bin. That way if we ever do homeschool on the go, I just can grab it and go. Got pins and stuff in here, and then we crack it open. Basically everything fits in here other than like my teacher's manual. I've got everything categorized by the weeks of school, and then in each folder are the papers and things that are needed for that week. And then the curriculum and everything is in here. And then you have worksheets that are in here. This is pretty much like reading and phonics. And then at the top, every single page, there's a week, whatever, and then it's like the abbreviations Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They just have a lot of really good teaching notes back in the back of your book. And one of the things that I really, really love is that they have an entire book list for math and science. And so typically at the end of the week or every other week, I will sit down at the computer and reserve library books for each week. So you have different weeks 1, weeks 2, 4, and 5, and they all have different topics. So for weeks 5 and 6, the topic was all about trees, and so we got all sorts of books related to trees. And they give you the title of the book and the author, so it's easy to find when you go and look at your local library. One of the things here in Indiana is they want you to keep track of your days. So even though like we have our weeks here and what we do, and there's little check marks that you can check it off, I went and picked up a teaching planner. You could just get a regular planner if you want to. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. It was like 13 or 14 bucks, but it helps me stay organized. You've got all your tabs here for the months of the year, and then you have your full weeks. So I typically will put the subject in one color and then whatever we did in a different color. And then I will write whatever the week is at the top, and then I will also keep the verse at the top as well. That way I kind of have everything in one spot. And then kind of down at the bottom they have a little calendar, and I will circle the days of school that we do at the bottom. Every single day I'll circle it just to kind of help also keep track of how many days of school we do throughout the year. Indiana, it's 180 days. So every about 9 weeks, like a typical school, we will have a little break or something, fall break, spring break, things like that. So this week is week 9, and it's also HOA week, which I mentioned earlier in the video. So this week is fall break for us. Thank you for joining us today. We absolutely love My Father's World, so I will leave a link down in the description. So if you want to go check out some of their curriculums and some of the things that they have geared towards homeschool, you can definitely go do that. We will probably continue to use My Father's World in the continuing years because Ellie is thriving with it, and we just really, really love it. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. But that's all that I've got. So as always, take care and God bless.